Feather in the cap, Michael Fasusi having another big day at the Under Armour Next camp. We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Michael Fasusi continued to turn heads at the Under Armour Next camp. He was a top performer, the number 2 top performer on the first 2 days of camp, and then won On3's MVP award from the UA Next camp, Jay.
Are we surprised that the crown jewel of the Bill Bedenbaugh offensive line recruitment was out there dominating like that? Not so much, but at the same time, I'm excited because it just confirmed what we all expected out of him coming out there. Like, who was it? Cody Belair. I think he's newer on the beat for On3 National Scout. He's just been starting to go to all of these All-American events. And he said, this is the best offensive lineman performance I've seen since joining On3 and being able to attend these All-American events. Outside of losing 1 rep of one-on-ones, Fasusi was basically flawless all week long. Extremely impressive. And he wasn't going up against no slouches. He was going up against some dogs. And Fasusi has been holding up every single week, John. And it makes us go back to the question we asked yesterday's show. Is he going to find a way into the starting lineup? I think he has the capabilities, man. If he's got the motor for it, there's a good chance for it, man. And the only thing I ever feared about a 5-star at that level is that they're so good that they don't think they need to continue it once they get, into the next level. Marvin Jones Jr. could be an example. He was a 5-star in everything but ESPN, and, things just didn't work out for him, unfortunately. And we've seen that before here with the slew of wide receivers. Heck, we had a whole wide receiver room of 5-stars that ended up having to transfer out because it just didn't work. But I don't see that with Fasusi. I've heard nothing but great things about his work ethic. So him and Foger, it's going to be fun to see on this team.
Yeah, it's easy to sit here and say, no, he won't be able to be a starter. I said the same thing about Jaden Jackson. I didn't think he'd be able to make an impact right away at defensive tackle, a position notoriously difficult to make the jump, whether it's going from high school to college to the NFL. It's a really difficult spot to be a day one starter at because the level of physicality increases exponentially when you go from the high school to the college ranks or from the college to the NFL ranks. Well, Jaden Jackson was able to do it. Not only was he able to earn a starting role week 1 at a fall camp, he was able to be really good, be one of the better players on the defense for this team year 1. And that's not even a shot at anybody else on the defense. That just means Jaden Jackson was that good. And so to sit here and say, no, there's no chance that a guy like Michael Fasusi could not start for the Oklahoma Sooners, week 1 of the 2025 season. I mean, I'm not going to put it past him. I mean, he's just done everything right. And Charles Power over On3, he called him the most physical person at the point of attack during the camp. And I think that says a lot. The dude wants to be physical. He wants to get violent. And you need that on the offensive line. We discussed that on the show yesterday. Oklahoma's offensive line, one of the biggest critiques that you heard about this group from guys like Gabe Eichert and Teddy Lehman and many others who really get a chance to watch the All-22 and dig in deep on these guys, is that they just weren't physical enough. So you gotta, yes, he's a high school kid coming into Norman, but you've seen it before. You've seen down there in Austin, you've seen true freshman offensive tackles be able to step right in and be successful. Maybe you'll have some ups and downs because you will with true freshmen, but you're probably going to have more ups than you will downs. And it's only going to help their development to get them on the field and let them play and make mistakes. So again, I'm not going to put it past him. He was the crown jewel of the recruiting class, and there's no reason why he won't be able to come in and actually compete for a role, whether he starts week 1 or week 5 or week 7. It would not surprise me if he's a starter at some point during the 2025 season because everything's up for grabs. Aside from maybe Troy Everett at center and maybe Fabechi Wiwu at right guard, everything is up for grabs. You have the potential to make every position along the offensive line a legit position battle.
Yeah, that's 100% true, because with both the Jakes and Jacob Sexton and Jake Taylor both coming off injury, they're going to have to work themselves back into that spot. Heath Ozida has been working it hard on that left guard spot. He can end up winning it. Eddie Pierre-Louis is fighting to get himself into that starting rotation. So, yeah, I think that a lot of those positions are going to be up for grabs, and the opportunity may be there for Fogier as well as Fasusi to get in there. But you still got Isaiah Autry-Dent. I mean, you got on a whole nother line. The good thing is that we're going into next year with more veteran presence on the line. Now, we still got a few of them as redshirt freshmen as well as true sophomores. But the good thing is you still got some vets and juniors and redshirt sophomores and juniors. So you've got those 3-year guys actually being able to play next season. And then, of course, you mentioned Troy Everett, who owns that center spot. And if I'm correct, Branson Hickman technically has one more year left that he could play. So the line's going to be more veteran. And you're right, the physicality is the critical thing. And the one time that we actually showed that we can do it whenever we lock in, Bama. That was the game where we showed that when we lock in, we going to get in there and push people around. I was talking about it yesterday, the Georgia-Notre Dame game. And the one thing you saw out of Notre Dame is that, Georgia, it appears they walked into that game thinking that, we'll just push them around. And that's what Notre Dame did to them. Instead, they pushed them around. They ran all over them, and they only got 203 yards total offense. So what you want to have is a group of guys that are just nasty enough and super physical. I think Michael Fasusi can lead that charge. Daniel Afalava is that way. We know Owen Hullenbeck is that way. He's a power lifter. He ain't a wrestler. He ain't trying to lose. He ain't losing no one-on-one battles with nobody in their hands. So, and it's Sean Hutton right there next to Fasusi, who did really good stuff at the guard right next to him. So you got yourself some guys who are going to be able to push each other. Now we just get on there with Schmitty, get the weight up, and just go execute.
That's right. And again, let competition determine how this is all going to play out. And if it comes to be that one of your best 5 is a freshman offensive tackle, then so be it. Let it be. Figure out a way to work with it and let them learn from it. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel on YouTube, Unfair Sports, as well. Follow me at John 9 Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all your social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you like to do your social media stuff. We are there. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.